I never get enough of that theme song.
Great. The French horn. It's really good.
Always got to have the French horn.
Yes, it's a beautiful theme.
We are back, and welcome to Behind the Lens. It is Monday, January 26, 2015. I can't believe a month is almost gone.
Yes.
And of course, rejoining me, my co-host, Greg, is here.
I've seen only good movies this month, which is weird. I don't know if you've seen a couple of bad movies, but mainly
it's
movies,
been
right?
a really good month for films. You know, that old adage of January is, that's the cellar. That's where you dump everything.
Yeah, the trash movies.
Okay, gone are the days of the divide.
You think so? Gone are the days.
I'm hoping.
Paddington Bear. I love that movie. That one's good.
Paddington, and of course last week Chad was here and we were talking about Paddington and some of my exclusive with Paul King and the importance of color in storytelling.
Nice.
So, but we've got a lot of good stuff to talk about today too, and I think today it's going to be, we're going to have a musical theme for part of the day and then a very socially responsible theme. Director Deon Taylor will be joining us. He will be calling in live at 11:30 for the second half of our program.
His movie's pretty good. Quite good.
His debut film, Supremacy, the world premiere was at LA Film Festival in June 2014. It was one of my must-see picks. It was actually my top pick of the festival. I was, once again, lucky enough to be the first person to review it. And
that's saying a lot. So you watched actually a lot of films during that fest.
Oh, I watched even before the fest. Last June, with regular screenings and the fest, I screened 147 films in 1 month.
Wow. I don't see 147 films in 5 years. So that's a pretty good record. But so to make the top, that's saying a lot about the film.
At LA Film Festival, it's so important, especially for these first-time filmmakers, for these indie filmmakers, that they get coverage, they get exposure, and they get valuable input. And I adore Deon. I have gone on part of this journey with him, with Supremacy. I predicted then it would have a distribution deal quickly. It was picked up before the end of the year, and it hits theaters this coming Friday. So Deon will be talking about that, about Supremacy, stars Danny Glover, and it's based on a true story, which is one of the most frightening aspects of it. In today's society and climate, I think it's very applicable.
Hard-hitting is a very underrated way to describe the film.
I think so. We had the premiere the other night, and I moderated the Q&A afterwards. Oh. And I even, before we went into the Q&A, I told everybody, breathe. Just take a moment, sit, and breathe. Because I think, having seen it, it's that kind of film.
Yeah, I would have hyperventilated right after this. It's a powerful film. Yeah. So,
but we have a couple lighter films to talk about to start off today. Yeah. One that I know you have a lot to say about, Song 1.
Song 1. It opened on Friday and it's on VOD as well.
Right.
I believe so. So Song 1, I think just whether or not you love the drama, I did, the music is fantastic.
Like I said, we're going for a musical theme this first half today.
For the first half, so we're covering good films in this show.
But one of the great things about Song 1 is that stars Anne Hathaway, but Anne Hathaway also is producing Song 1. Yeah. It's her first it's her first producer's hat. And
it's not a vanity project because when you watch Song 1, she's kind of, even though she is technically the lead, the actual lead is the narrative and most importantly the music. The music is the thing that really tells a story. And the filmmaker as well, a very personal story for her. Because
and the music here, it was custom written for the film. Yep. You and I both had the opportunity to talk to the songwriters, Jenny Lewis and Jonathan Rice.
Very talented.
And we've got some great interview excerpts with them. But first, I had a chance to ask Anne about being a producer and how that producing is that affecting her, how she looks at other projects now? And here's what she had to say.
And now that you do have a producer's hat, does this impact how you look at projects now when they come across your desk? Even just scripts as an actress, is that producer's hat and that eye adding another level to the look that you're taking at something?
Well, I've been an actress for 15 years and I've produced exactly one film, so I can't say that eye is all that developed yet, if I'm just keeping it real. But no, it just makes me feel that much more empathy when I come across like a battle scene for like the producer that has to wrangle everybody. And it makes me all that more determined to never be late and to always thank everybody for everything and never take anything for granted, because that was one of the big awakenings that I had as a producer on this movie. It was just how spoiled I was as an actor for all those years and didn't fully appreciate how much work so many people had to do in order for me to do my job. I thought that I was appreciative of it, but I really didn't actually understand anything that was going on.
Yeah, and a testament to Anne as a producer and her husband, Adam Schulman. This film, it debuted at Sundance last year. It was snatched up, and here it is in theaters a year later.
Yeah, it's just a really introspective drama with all the music, and the thing I really loved about the film is that I've never actually spent a lot of time in Brooklyn, so it gives it's a very heartbreaking film in many ways, but it's also the filmmaker's version or vision of how she sees Brooklyn at night through music, through random people connecting, through song and actually through tragedy. So it's quite a sublime film.
And you had a chance to ask her about that experience.
I have this vision, about New York and LA, how people who live in New York are just a little bit more artistic than Angelinos, and Angelinos are more about, making money and the cottage industry of filmmaking. But maybe I asked her, is it true or not? And here's her answer to that.
I don't live in New York anymore, and I left New York after I made this film, and then I came out to LA to do Interstellar, and then I went back to New York to make a film called The Intern, and my husband and I decided that we were going to leave New York around that time. And so I live in LA now. LA was an industry town for me until I made friends. And that took a really long time to kind of find my group. And now that I have it, it's not an industry town. I have a wonderful and vibrant life out here. I came out here for the first time in 1999. The museum scene was good but small. Now the museum scene has expanded and is great. And it's not New York in terms of the culture, but I mean, there's so many things to do here. Don't underestimate the value of never being cold. That really is so awesome. I love that about LA, and I love being able to hike whenever I want. And it's different. I think where people stumble is in trying to compare the two. They're two different planets. And I think that they actually complement each other, but they're so different. I would never dream of comparing them.
Well, and that's something that I found really interesting when she kicked it off saying, well, until I found a set of friends. Can you ever imagine Anne Hathaway not having a set of friends?
Yeah, no. First of all, no. But I think to her point, I don't know if you agree with this, it's hard finding that tribe in Los Angeles. But I guess once you do find that tribe, it's a whole different kind of energy. So, but I've never lived in New York for an extended time, and I've always fantasized about how filmmakers make it shooting around the area and what kind of industry lies in New York, whether it's film, television, music. But she gave a pretty good answer.
Well, and we're going to jump around a little bit here because Deon Taylor is on the line now. Yeah. So, is that my friend Deon Taylor?
Hey, it's me. How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you? I'm here. Greg is here.
Hello.
Greg, how you doing, man?
Good, man. I just saw your film.
Oh, man. I'm happy you seen it. Did you like it?
I loved it. I really, really loved it. Really loved it. So
awesome, man. That's great to hear on a Monday morning, man.
Well, so how excited are you for the film to open this coming Friday, Deon?
I'll tell you how happy I am. I'm walking through the airport smiling, and people are like, what is wrong with him? That's how I'm like, I'm grinning ear to ear. They're like, hey, what is wrong with this dude? I'm like, is he crazy? And I'm like, no, I'm just happy. I'm so excited, and I don't really have any words to say how I feel based on the fact that, you know, as a filmmaker, independent filmmaker, you get an opportunity to make a movie and you work your butt off and you try to make something really cool that you really, really like, and you hope that people respond to it. And because you don't know if you'll ever get another opportunity. And for me, I'm very excited. I'm very excited because we were able to make a cool movie and people are responding.
Well, and I'm one of the lucky ones. I got to be there at the beginning even before it premiered at LAFF.
You are the first person, and you know I love you to death. And I met you, and you sat down with me, and I remember the first thing you said to me. You said, "You have an amazing movie, and you're going to have a very, very successful career." And you almost made me cry, but that's what you do. And I have been a fan of you forever, and you have no idea what your words meant to me when you said that to me, because at that time I had just finished Supremacy, had just got it into the festival, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to make another movie. So I really, really, really love you a lot. Thank you for that.
And you're going to make me cry.
Just a curious question. Your drama is multi-layered, and when it premiered last June at the Fest, did you have more time to edit, or was it your final cut a year ago, or did that final year give you more room to breathe and shape the film?
No, that was it. I didn't have any more money, so yeah, that was it. Like what you saw is what you got. Like we couldn't go back into. I had already shot my wide, because what happened was the film we shot in 16 millimeter. Wow. And they told me when I got into the movie independently, like I knew we had only $1 million to make the film. I knew that there would be no more reshoots, no more ways to go back into the film, anything. So that's what it was.
Now, Deon, one of the interesting things with this film, and I know at the premiere the other night, our screenwriter Eric Adams was talking about this, how the two of you approached this and how he approached it. What a lot of people don't understand about Supremacy, this is based on a true incident that actually happened. And you guys stepped away from how the media was reporting things, and you put a spin on the story to tell an internalized view from the victims.
That's right. Yeah, the approach to the movie, when Eric first gave me the screenplay and I read it, you know, this is a year ago now, or a year and some change. I just knew that the story had to be raw and real, and it had to be layered in reality. And I thought the ending of, or how that incident ended in that real house was so incredible. I knew that I could tell the real story and it would end well. And so, yeah, we approached it where basically here was the approach. I don't care what people are going to think. I'm going to make this movie the way it needs to be made, because this is what these people went through. And we're going to be raw, and we're going to be real filmmakers and tell a real story. And that's how we approached it, period.
You know,
so for the people that don't know, give us a brief synopsis of this story of Garrett Tully and the family that he essentially took hostage.
Yes. Easy. Early 1990s, 1991, 1992, Garrett Tully is released from Pelican Bay maximum security prison. He had just finished doing 10 years. He is the second highest ranking official in the AB, the Aryan Brotherhood. He's picked up by a young woman who works for the AB. Her job is to drive him across out of the Bay Area into Bakersfield to do a little bit of business. Within 24 hours, they're pulled over by a police officer on a routine stop. He gets out the car and unloads his gun in the police officer's face, neck, and chest area. From there, they are pursued. People are chasing them. They're in a little small city. They basically take a house hostage. No one knows where they are. They go upstairs only to find a complete black family, a 70-year-old black man, his new wife, who's 50, her 3 kids, all dysfunctional family, all black. And from there, this is where the story ensues, and it is absolutely amazing.
You know, we all know that Danny Glover is one of cinema's greatest actors, and he gives a great performance here. I'm quickly wondering, just casting Joe Anderson, I was blown away by his performance. Can you just talk about casting him in your film?
Joe is, when I first seen Joe, it was really, really weird because Joe is, he's from England. And he has this real heavy accent. And
Wow.
He did not do very well on the first audition, as if I'm like some big director, right? But it didn't hit me right. Like I didn't believe it. And it was something about Joe. He was so committed. He came to me and he said, "Listen, Deon, if you would allow me to come back one more time, I think I could nail this." And he came back the next time. He scared the living hell out of everybody in the room. And at that point, I said, that's who's going to play Tully. And I'll tell you something, for anybody listening to this show, when people make movies, it's really cool because you kind of go on set and you see actors are able to zone out and do different things.
Yeah.
This movie was absolutely crazy and incredible based on the fact that we had to have someone come in the room in front of Danny Glover, who he admired, put a gun in his face, and say, "I'll blow your head off, nigger."
Right.
And then from that place, go on for another 17 days with that type of energy. And it was scary and it was hard to do. And some days, like as a black filmmaker, I was angry. We all were angry. We would go to lunch and we would just all talk. But he is absolutely amazing. I think you will see Joe over the next year. He's going to become one of those guys in Hollywood where everyone's like, "Oh, Joe Anderson, he's that guy."
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, I think that Joe really is underrated thus far, and I think it's only because people aren't really familiar with his work. But this is, as great as Joe is, and, I make no bones about it. I think this is Danny Glover's the finest performance of his career.
Agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
But
I
then,
agree 100%. Danny, it's interesting because we talk about Danny Glover. You've seen Danny in so many different movies and films and all that good stuff. And this is interesting because we haven't seen Danny like this since The Color Purple.
Yeah.
And he is raw, man. He is raw. He is such a method actor. He's using nothing but his eyes, and you can tell what he's thinking on screen without talking. And he is so good in this movie. I'm just happy to be able to have had him in the film, but more importantly, I'm happy to have had that Danny Glover.
That's just it, and it's a Danny Glover that not many people get. Now, what really helps make this film, once you get these great performances, Deon, is you've got Rodney Taylor as your cinematographer and Rich Molina doing your editing. How challenging was this for you as a director? Were you and Rodney, were you storyboarding? Were you shot listing? Was Richard editing as you went along? Because this is fast, this is intense, this is in close quarters, and it's all handheld.
And shot on film.
Yeah, you know what? Rodney is fantastic, and this was me and Rodney first met right before this movie, about 2 weeks before we hired Rodney to come onto the film. He asked me what was my process, and I'm a different type of filmmaker. I don't storyboard anything. I block on the day, and the reason that I do it that way is because I like to approach, I feel creatively, I'm even if I wrote something down today, I wouldn't do it tomorrow. I'm more I like to get on set. I like to feel the energy of the room. I like to talk to the actors. And if you've ever seen me on set, I'm the guy, I'll play all the characters in front of the camera before they do it. And it's kind of funny, but at the same time, that's how we did it. And yeah, the entire movie is handheld, shot on 16 millimeter. And Rodney, he was I think day 3, he was just okay, I get it. And I'm like, yeah, man, just go with me. This is how we got to feel. This is where the camera needs to be, and then we would just kind of, sidebar and creatively talk that way. But I'm all the characters. And it's exhausting, but it's fun because it's just kind of how I feel the energy. And I have to be in that space. And it's different because a lot of filmmakers do write down and storyboard, and I don't mind doing that stuff. I just know that I'm going to change it.
Well, how now with your editing, because it is so crisp and it is so sharp, and it has to be to really fuel the intensity and the emotion of what's going on. Was Richard editing as you went along, or did the two of you sit in the editing bay afterwards and cull through all of this film?
Yeah. So basically, he came on probably the last couple of days of our principal photography. But what I did was I was able to sit with him and basically pitch him the entire movie. Right? He not only did he have the script, but I explained to him the integrity of the shots and why we wanted it to look that way. And a lot of what happens in Supremacy, which I'm so happy about, is not. Technically, people would say, "Oh, it's all wrong." It's just one of those movies, and I felt like with Rich, he got it. Like when he first seen the first couple of frames, he said, "Oh no, I get it." He was like, "I know exactly what we're doing here." And I told him the reason that I wanted that camera to move so much and is because the house became a character in the movie. We wanted the room to feel like it was holding people. We wanted the kitchen to feel like it released its grip just a little bit. But then when you see the scene with the child and the woman, I wanted you to be whipped right back into the hostage of the house. And it was cool. He is so good. I tell you this, I was just blessed to be able to have any of these people work with me because I had no contacts, no nothing. It was just me raw as a filmmaker.
How difficult was it to assemble your creative team, to get guys like Rodney, to get guys like Richard, to get your production designer?
It wasn't that hard because I think everyone gravitated to the script and what it was about. It was surprising to me that people were up for the challenge, that people were, hey man, I got this really funny comedy. I think you have a hard time, getting a bunch of people that, want to do I don't know. But when this film, I thought people was going to just be telling me no. And surprisingly, I had so many people saying, yeah, I want to do that. And I think it was because of the message. So when I went to Rodney, was an incredible cinematographer, had just finished doing some stuff, some festival work. And he read it and he said, man, I want to take the challenge with you. I want to be challenged. And that's how Rodney came. And the same thing with the set designer, same thing with Rich Molina, same thing with Shannon McIntosh, who's now producing The Hateful Eight. These people just kind of came and was like, let's rock and roll, Deon. Like, we believe in it. We're going to help support their vision. We know we don't have any money. We don't have any time, but go do what you do. And that's what happened.
And just curious question, why was it such a creative choice for you to shoot on film? What did film give you that digital did not for your narrative?
I think digital is really cool. But when I was reading the material, I knew that the layer that I needed to be ugly, this is a movie that could not be sharp. Right. It could not be. To me, just creatively, it would not have worked. It needed to be rugged. It needed to have the grain that 16 millimeter gives. It needed to. I'm a huge fan of the movie Monster with Charlize Theron, and that was another one of those movies where I was just like, oh man, like the grain. It just felt down. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like even when she was smiling and having what she thought was a good day, the film didn't let you feel that, and I wanted that for Supremacy. I wanted the film to become a character and also resonate the ugliness that Tully was spewing when he came in the house. But at the same time, I wanted it to be grainy because at the end of the day, when it is right, the end of the day, even though the situation is overcame, I still wanted it to be the fact that people went through that on film. And anyways, it's just I'm crazy. So, but I just think 16 is so beautiful. I think 35 is so beautiful. But at the same time, I do know that there's a lot of HD stuff going on, and But I wanted that. I wanted that.
So what was the greatest learning curve for you as a director, Deon, stepping into Supremacy?
You got to think. I think
I'm going to make you think.
Yeah, you have to really sit down and think. I think, because I'm self-taught, the only reason that I'm here is because I think God has blessed me with some creative ability. And oftentimes when you are creative, you could hide behind your creativity. But it doesn't challenge you as a filmmaker. And I think what makes the guys that are great, when you start thinking about guys like Quentin Tarantino, you start thinking about guys like Christopher Nolan, Antoine Fuqua, Spike Lee. When you start thinking of these guys, I think what makes you become really, really good at your craft is when you really can think through scenes. Not creatively make them hot, but think them through. And I think Supremacy was one of those movies where it put me on my ass a few days where I had to really sit down and go, should Tully really make this move and say this, or should Danny really move over here and say that? And that's what I think was like the greatest learning experience for me on a movie like this, is because this is one of those films, and I've told you this as well, Debbie, this is one of those films is if you do not do it right, you might not ever work again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had to think it through, and I think that's what the film taught me was the Deon, stop moving so quick, really sit down and think through what you're shooting and what you want the camera to say to people.
So how fortuitous is it, and how appreciative of the timing of release of Supremacy are you? I mean, this is, given what has materialized in the news, in our country, in the world, since the film premiered at LAFF, there's been a lot of change, a lot of discussion, a lot of activity going on. How fortuitous is it that this film is now being seen today, this Friday in this time?
It's I think that's just God, we could never foresee the future a year and a half ago and know what was going to be happening. But at the same time, I'm really, really happy and very excited that this movie is going to be out there as a conversation piece about racism. As a black filmmaker, I've experienced, racism since a little boy, from all kinds of different situations, from playing basketball to, trying to break into the Hollywood business. I mean, it's there. And it's one of those things that people don't talk about. It's a hot button. People don't want to talk about race. People don't want to talk about politics. But we know it exists. And I think what we've seen over the last 5 or 6 months in the world is just how colorful racism really is in different markets. And I think it's time for people to actually come to the table and have conversations about it. And I think this movie is just, the timing is impeccable, because what I think we did really well with this story was be able to show a movie about ugly, hard-hitting racism, but also how you could battle racism with love. And I don't want to sound like that guy, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman, had that just been a different type of conversation, that kid would have still been here. You know what I mean? And it just gets to those situations where you want to start talking about it. Why do you feel that way about me? Why do I feel this way about you? And I feel like if we don't start talking about it, we're going to have more and more problems. But it's good that this stuff is coming to the light and people are able to, really do what Martin Luther King wanted us to do, which is, everybody just talk it out, man, and let's talk about hugging each other instead of slugging each other. And I think that's what's really cool about this film.
One of the film's best quotes or lines is from Mr. Walker when he says, "Fight with your mind." And I'm sure
fight with your mind, man.
Yeah, fight with your mind.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And I'm hoping that resonates with a lot of young kids today, because believe it or not, you do us no good in jail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and that goes for everybody. I thought the Tully character was amazing based on the fact that I often get this question, which is people are like, well, how could a black filmmaker tell a story about a white supremacist? And I tell people this all the time. The movie is not just about a white supremacist. The movie is about a young man who's confused. And that young man could be Asian, Latino, black. He could be in a gang. He could be in the Mexican gang. Tully is a young man who learned this behavior. And why did he learn the behavior? He learned the behavior because he was looking for love in the wrong places. And that's the same thing that happens to 75% of our kids today. Yeah. They're looking for a father figure or a mother figure, and the reality is they really just need somebody to give them a hug, pat them on the butt, and say, hey, man, I know you fell down, but let's get up and try it again.
And, of course...
And this is what happens.
And, of course, the one of my favorite mantras within the film comes from Danny Glover, the idea of patience.
Yep.
Patience.
Patience, yep. Patience is king. Yep. Patience is king. And especially now, today, we're in a world where everything is right now. You know, you want it right now. And it's funny, I know you guys talk to a lot of different people on your show and do a lot of different things. And even me, I've been a victim of this my entire life. You start out in this world of trying to make movies and shoot films and write stuff, and you want it now. I want it now. I want to be hot now. I want to make a big movie now. And for me, it's been a 10-year grind. And I think only about a year and a half ago, I said, man, like, I guess it's going to come when it needs to come. And I've had to be patient to be able to get my voice heard film-wise. And but yeah, that's a very big thing is patience and just knowing you're going to get it when you're supposed to get it.
Well, my friend, I can't thank you enough for calling in today and talking with us about Supremacy. You know my love for the film and my love for you.
Well, thank you guys so much. You guys are wonderful. And if you could see me right now, I have my shirt off. That's how excited I am. I'm standing here with no shirt on, screaming.
Well, you keep screaming because Supremacy will be in theaters on Friday. Do you know when it's going to hit VOD or DVD, Deon?
Yeah, you know what they're doing? It's a four-wall this weekend. So it's L.A., New York, Chicago, Atlanta. And then it'll also be on VOD this weekend on iTunes, and then they roll it out the very next weekend, more theaters and more VOD.
Oh, great. Yeah.
And, of course, next weekend, the fact they're rolling it, because this weekend half the eastern seaboard may be snowed in. So,
yeah, that's exactly right.
So people who have, who can see it on iTunes, see it if you can't get to a theater, and then by next week, just get out there and see this, because it is a movie that will stay with you for a long time to come. Deon,
thank you so much. I love you guys, and anything I could do, please don't hesitate to ask me. And for all your listeners, please go see Supremacy and support independent filmmakers. It'd be awesome.
That's right. See, next time I'll have to get you here in person, and we can do our whole independent film chant.
Yeah, I'll be here, and I won't have a shirt on.
Okay, I can live with that. Thank you, Deon.
You guys so much.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
And we are going to take a commercial break right now, and we'll be back to talk more about Song 1. Behind the Lens is sponsored in part by the Culver City Observer. Located in the heart of Screenland, Culver City Observer is available in print and online at www.culvercityobserver.com. And we are back. Welcome back to Behind the Lens. For those of you that are just joining us, we just had Deon Taylor on with us for a lengthy amount of time.
Very in-depth chat.
Talking about Supremacy, which is in theaters and on iTunes this Friday and expanding wider next week. A very powerful film.
By the way,
yes,
I got to give him credit for shooting on film. That's just such a gutsy move with barely, I don't even know what the budget was. Did he say $1 million?
Yeah, it was actually it was under.
Oh my gosh. I mean, with that, most filmmakers would have just shot it on digital and would have given up the visceral visual look of the film just to save money. And he just did not do that. Shooting on 16, That's amazing.
And with this film, like Deon said, it is so important, and it adds so much
Right.
that it is on film because of the intensity of the situation, physically and emotionally. And it really, you get that gravitas. And what amazes me is cinematographer, Rodney Taylor. Rodney, I mean, all handheld. And some of the shots in this film, the Dutching, the angles, in the closet shot, those people were crammed in closets.
And it's just the right balance. It's not a showy film, but it's a really well-crafted film. It just straddles that line. It tells a story, and I really love the film.
It has stayed with me since last June.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a film that I cannot shake, that I can't get out of my head. And, it's a very important film. And it's not about black or white. At the end of the day, we're all the same.
Yeah. Another beautifully shot film was Song 1. And I don't know much about DPing or whatnot, but I'm sure... Do you think it was really hard for them to actually shoot Brooklyn at night, all those locations, and still get a really clear image?
I think the fact that our lovely director, Kate Barker-Froyland, I think the fact that they were shooting digitally, that helps.
That's when it helps.
Because there are some, in Song 1, the night shots are so beautiful. And now that you mention it, now I feel badly because I did not pull that audio from Kate for everybody to hear today. Because we talked about that with her, about shooting at night and capturing the night lights of the city.
Now, Joe Anderson, I think, has a star-making performance in Supremacy. Now, the lead actor in Song 1 is amazing.
Johnny Flynn.
He just came for me out of nowhere, right?
Out of nowhere.
Yeah. Songwriter, musician.
He's a songwriter, musician. I was not familiar with him, but he just playing the character of James Forrester, he just blows it out of the water.
Easy on the eyes as well.
I'll say.
Yeah. But I think this movie, Song 1, just hits on all the marks. I love introspective Nick Drake, Elliott Smith, kind of somber acoustic guitar kind of feel. And I think Song 1 hits those notes. And I love the soundtrack to it as well. Oh,
the soundtrack is beautiful. And it's funny that you mention those specific things because that's exactly what Jenny Lewis and Jonathan Rice talked about as being their influences for not only the little bits of score that they infused, but the 7 original songs that they had to write. And here's what Jenny and Jonathan had to say.
I scored a film last year, and I wrote a song for a Disney film many years ago. So I've got a little experience, but not much. But the amount of songs that we were asked to write for the film, that's a new thing for us.
What's really interesting also about the songs that you wrote, they all have they're very cohesive, but they all have a different vibe, very eclectic blend. How did you go about writing these songs in terms of the construct of the film and the characters?
Well, we had many discussions primarily with Kate Barker-Froyland and secondarily with Anne Hathaway and Adam Shulman. And Jenny and I, the way we approached writing the songs was almost like writing a second script because there were 7 songs total to be written for the film and 6 of them were by this guy, James Forrester, played by Johnny Flynn. So we wanted him to have a cohesive sound, and we talked a lot about who we thought he was, and we saw him as a songwriter kind of in the mold of Elliott Smith or Nick Drake or Bill Fox, guys like Bon Iver, and just kind of set about kind of creating his character within that.
But we're talking about 2 songwriters writing from the perspective of one man, so maybe that's what you're hearing. Because a lot of the songs unfolded differently, where I would start something on the piano, and I'm, of course, writing... When I sit down to write for myself, I'm writing from a female perspective, so I kind of had to shift my mindset to write for 2 male characters.
Because and that's a good point that Jenny makes.
Definitely a great point. Taking songwriting from a different perspective, gender perspective. Regarding the soundtrack, there's 2 songs not written by Jonathan or Jenny. The first one I really love, the Nina Simone track, My Baby Just Cares For Me. And the second one is an America tune that I've never heard called I Need You. And that's played throughout the Mary Steenburgen, Anne Hathaway sequence both great songs. If you're interested in checking out the soundtrack or downloading it, those are 2 tracks that are must listen to.
I'm sitting here just in shock. You have never heard that song by America.
Yeah, they've also done what? Sister Golden Hair?
Yeah.
Ventura Highway, but I'd never heard I Need You. Sounded kind of bready, but I loved it.
It definitely has a very bread kind of Three Dog Night bread sound, but that was one of the songs of my youth.
Oh, really? It was a go-to song for you. As far as like connecting with people and whatnot.
It was not a go-to song for me.
Okay.
But no, that was one of the.
Oh, it was a staple.
It was a staple.
Really? Okay.
It was a staple of the pop music catalog. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it fits really squarely into place in song 1 too. Very emotional moment.
It was actually one of the featured songs every time America did a concert. They may still use that.
Oh, okay.
So,
nice.
this is what happens when you've been around a while.
Yeah, so these are both great, 2 completely different films, but both stories from really pointed, personal filmmakers, and that's what we really want to cover, is these really personal journeys through
That's exactly it. And, part of that personal journey is also the collaborative nature. Yeah. And with Song 1, Jenny talks a lot about the collaborative process of songwriting and songwriting in the context of the film, because it's not just Jenny, it's not just Jonathan, it's not just Jenny and Jonathan, but then you get Kate in the mix, and you get Anne Hathaway in the mix, and then you get executive producer Jonathan Demme in the mix. And here's Jenny's take on collaboration.
Well, I think the collaborative process can be a little daunting, but I think you learn how to become a good collaborator, and you have to proceed with a certain amount of openness to critique. Because we were creating these songs based on our idea of this character that Kate wrote. So it didn't always resonate with her in the right way. And we would sort of send them off, in emails to Jonathan Demme, who we're huge fans of, and to Adam and Annie and Kate. And sometimes, the songs didn't work, and we would have to go back to the drawing board. But we would start songs separately often, and then come together with the idea of the character, where Jonathan would finish an idea, or I would finish one of his ideas.
So, collaboration all around.
By the way, we don't collaborate. I actually, follow your lead, like I said before. And
well, I know that this surprises
steer the ship.
But I know this surprises a lot of people. Even when we're doing roundtable interviews together, we just feed naturally off of each other. We don't collaborate.
I'm a parasite. I feed off you. So
I'm the shark. You're the remora.
Oh,
Is
right,
that
okay.
it?
Yes. I prefer that.
But and now for people that are wondering, no, even we have managed to be color coordinated when we show up for set. Yes. We have not planned this. It's just great minds think alike.
We both love cinema. You a little bit more. You much more, actually, because you cover the festival circuit. You watch 900 movies a week, it seems.
I spent 3 hours doing the TCM party tweet yesterday. A lot of it about...
what movie did you guys watch?
The big one yesterday, because it was shot at MGM.
Yeah.
Actually, part of it was shot where my house now stands.
Culver City's MGM, right?
Culver City. It was the Angela Lansbury, Judy Garland, the Harvey Girls.
I have never seen that movie.
That is a must-see. It was one of the films that was done in the later years of the Arthur Freed unit at MGM.
Oh, wow.
And interestingly, and the audience will hear it one day, when I interviewed Angela Lansbury a couple years ago at TCM, that was one of the things that she always gets a big laugh out of, is they dubbed her singing voice in the Harvey Girls.
That makes no sense, because her voice obviously is indelible.
Is wonderful, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just scared of her because of the Manchurian Candidate.
No. But just remember, she's Jessica Fletcher.
Yes, of course.
So,
yeah.
But that was several hours yesterday doing the TCM party tweets. And for anybody listening, if you love classic films and you watch TCM, you can always hop on Twitter, hashtag TCM party, and you can join in the conversation with other classic film lovers that are on as we live tweet during films, with trivia, with technical information, commentary about dialogue. It's a lot of fun and a lot of engagement, and it's a shared movie-going experience, even though we're not all in the theater together.
Movie buffs from around the world.
movie buffs from around the world.
That's
and
amazing.
that's one of the beautiful things about TCM is that if the time is showing at 3 o'clock on the Eastern Seaboard, it's showing at noon here. So it's showing at the same time on both, so everybody can participate.
You know what you should do? One day you should just do a TCM party
We're
24
going
hours
to.
straight.
Well-
and just not even sleep. That would be great. How many movies you can cover in one day without sleeping?
Oh my God. I don't know. Will McKinley, are you up for that?
Nice.
Kelly Pratt, Will McKinley, yeah, they'll weigh in on that one, I'm sure.
Speaking of very quickly weighing in, for the visual aids, you have 2 books up here. Can you just briefly...
We have yes, today we brought visual aids. We have the Hollywood Film Music Reader, which is a great book with interviews and archival things from composers, Andre Previn, Adolf Deutsch. I mean, it's just, Waxman, Bernard Herrmann,
Bernard Herrmann, yeah.
Aaron Copland.
Nice.
And
Copland.
ironically, on the cover is none other than Debbie Reynolds, who just got her SAG Lifetime Achievement Award last night.
Wow, nice.
So, and then we also have, this is a great book by David Thompson, Moments That Made the Movies. And some of the most indelible photographs from films.
Oh, beautiful.
Over the, for decades. And it's stunning. There's trivia, there's, great film, anecdotes. It's a wonderful, wonderful book for any film buff out there.
I also love Thompson. He also did that book, A Biographical Dictionary of Film.
I have that too.
He's the man.
Is that not wonderful?
David Thompson, if you're in a bookstore, just look for his stuff.
Google him, go to Amazon, just whatever he has, buy it.
He's a true cinephile / critic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about our other visual aids later, but these are all screeners that, I'll talk about them now. These are all screeners. When you are a member of Film Independent, you get to vote for the Spirit Awards, which is coming up the day before Oscars.
Yes.
And we will be covering this on our February 16th show, our Spirit Award Oscar show, pre-show. But in order to make sure that all of the members can vote based on actually seeing the film, in addition to setting up screenings of nominated films for the Spirit Awards, they send out DVD packets and screeners. So I am sitting here, even though I have already seen everything, as a member of Film Independent. I got my packet of my screeners, some of which I know Greg has been looking at, and that I know our sound engineer, Brian Leone, has been looking at, and Lydia has been looking at. So it's a great way to catch up on movies. I think a membership is now $90 a year. You get to go to all of the Film Independent functions at LACMA, other benefits. You get discounted tickets, and advance notice for LA Film Festival, and you get to vote for the Spirit Awards.
And you get these lovely things.
And you get these lovely things. So, I mean, who doesn't want to be able to sit at home and watch, John Ridley's Jimmy all by my...
Jimmy All Is By My Side.
Is by my side.
Jimmy.
I can't talk when I get excited.
Which I haven't seen yet.
When I get excited about something. This is a wonderful film.
Okay.
So...
Obvious Child is one of my favorites from last year.
Little Accidents, a wonderful film. I just interviewed the filmmaker Sarah Colangelo the other week.
Cool.
Absolutely stunning. Appropriate Behavior, Citizen 4, the documentary, Selma. You get all of these. So join Film Independent. But now we're going to take another quick commercial break, and then we'll be back and talk about Strange Magic.
We're going to end with magic, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Located in the heart of Screenland, Culver City Observer is the #1 newspaper in Culver City, covering local news, politics, and community events, with sports by Mitch Chortkoff and movie reviews by Debbie Lynn Elias. Culver City Observer is the place to go to be in the know. When you think Culver City and the heart of Screenland, think Culver City Observer. When you think movies and movie reviews, think Culver City Observer. Culver City Observer, a division of Arizona Newspaper Group, is available in print and online at www.culvercityobserver.com. And
we are back behind the lens. Me, Greg.
And you're in front of Behind the Lens because you're the host and creator of the show.
Here we go again.
So, and by the way, I'm very happy because our filmmaker / DP / everything, Lydia, called us both intelligent.
Yes.
I would agree for you. Me, I would probably by default.
You know, it's always lovely, you know. And Lydia was paid the highest compliments by Deon Taylor this week after she shot the Q&A I moderated at the premiere, and then she did a full edit package. She did a 3-camera shoot of a Q&A, and Deon is in love with it.
Do you ever get nervous while you're moderating? Because if I ever did that, I would probably be a puddle of you know what's. Really?
Nah.
Oh, there's people looking at you.
Nah.
On bated breath. They want your opinion on something. They don't want. Really?
Nah.
Never. Okay.
No.
Cool hand, Luke-ish. Okay,
nah,
nice.
you know.
I like it.
It's like when you get to be my age, you've fallen on your face enough times that it really doesn't matter.
You just let it go.
You just let it go.
Let it rip. Okay, nice.
So, Strange Magic. I have to give a huge, huge, huge thanks to Tracy at Lucasfilms and Kara over at Disney, who got me this incredible interview with the film's writer-director, Gary Rydstrom. Off the bat. Gary is currently in Singapore working on another film for Lucasfilm and Disney. And he took time out to talk to me about Strange Magic. Strange Magic opened this weekend. A lot of people, all I can say is ignore 90% of the critics out there. If you love Moulin Rouge, if you love Baz Luhrmann, if you love animation, if you love George Lucas, Strange Magic is the film to see. Think an animated Moulin Rouge. And as I keep saying, Strange Magic is music to my heart. This is from the heart and soul of George Lucas. We have a dark kingdom. We have the dark forest. We have the fairy kingdom. We have good. We have bad. We have dark. We have light. We have redemptive characters. We have a strong female akin to a certain Princess Leia.
And then you have epic myth-making kind of journeys,
we have
maybe?
Very much so. Fantastical creatures. And it's all told through music, much as exactly what Baz Luhrmann did with Moulin Rouge. And needless to say, it comes as no surprise that Gary Rydstrom called on Baz's music supervisor, Marius de Vries, to do the same thing musically for Strange Magic. And since we got a theme going here of music today, we're going to let you hear part of my exclusive interview with Gary Rydstrom talking about bringing music to Strange Magic.
You know, the musical part was new to me, and I was a little scared going into it. Scared enough to direct an animated film, but on top of it, the musical, I don't know nothing about musicals, but it was fun to learn, and Marius has a great sense of musical structure, and I especially loved how to figure out how to get in and out of the songs and structure it so they don't sort of slam in and surprise you in that way that sometimes you can do in musicals. Whoa, we're singing, and so that was a fun thing to try to figure out how to weave the singing and the dialogue from head to tail.
What was the learning curve like that for you? Because it's a very seamless flow, and you always have a haunting, undercurrent of a song leading up to a full-on song.
Well, that undercurrent there's a especially sneaky one before we hit Strange Magic, the song Strange Magic, that comes out of score, and the score starts to have the da-da-da-da-da, the little falling space from Strange Magic. I love doing that because it helps gently lead you into the song. And Marius is doing that in score throughout, sort of, anticipating something or reminding us of a song that we heard earlier and using it in score. I mean, my learning curve was, at first, leaning on Marius Zicki, the music supervisor, because they, been picking the songs and arranging the songs, and then editing the songs into the reels in a way that, I was using myself as a guinea pig. If I didn't go, whoa, this is either making me laugh in a bad way to start singing here, or it felt or it feels wrong. So I was using myself as the audience guinea pig, but I leaned on Marius and Irene Meck, one of our writers, she did Lion King, and she knows musical structure. So I told him half jokingly that from now on, any movie I make has to be a musical because it's too much fun.
And so much fun it is, especially when you get into the songs that are in here, with everything from Elvis Presley to, I think, some Dionne Warwick. We've got Heart. We've got The Doors. I mean, it is an incredible array, and everything is put together with the songs worked in like a traditional musical as part of the dialogue. And Gary talked about some of the songs and that were used.
Back to George Lucas's initial idea, he wanted to tell a love story, fairy tale through songs. So that's what we did. And so, I don't remember ever, throwing out a song or changing a song on the basis of money.
Wow.
And I know there are sometimes I'm probably not getting my money's worth. We have a snippet of "People Are Strange," the Doors song, and we have Barracuda in there as a score, and in some ways it anticipates the Heart song "Straight On" as such a central song later in the movie. Something about using Barracuda as score with that distinctive guitar riff was good, and that's a lot of what Marius brought to it, was connecting things. The most obvious thing is using songs like "Can't Help Falling in Love" in different ways throughout the movie, and "Three Little Birds."
And interestingly, Three Little Birds, you would not think kids know it, and apparently that is like one of the hot songs that kids love, as opposed to something more pop like Crazy in Love.
Yeah.
I mean, the film is just fun all the way around. The animation is beautiful. It's photorealism blended. Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Well, we're getting our countdown. Very quickly before we go, I just want to mention this coming Friday, you can view in your movie theater Oscar shorts, all your Oscar-nominated shorts, your live action, your animation, and your documentaries will be in theaters. So see that before the Oscars. Next week, we're going to talk with the director of Alien Outpost, hopefully some people from Wild Card and Jason Statham, and the Backstreet Boys. And we'll see you next week.
See you next week.